What's up, everybody? It's your boy Legal Mindset here, and this is the Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Andrew Esquire, Florida attorney, and it's good to see everybody here in the chat today, just on time, just here to hang out. Took me a second. I had to fish my whiskey out of the bathroom, and if you want to understand why I needed to fish the whiskey out of the bathroom, check out my legalmindset.locals.com. You can go back and catch the rewind of the Locals exclusive Thai bathroom stream, which was streamed earlier today. But good to see everybody here in the chat as well, checking in, including brand new member. Why the hell are you a brand new member? Brandon Lesko, what's going on? Maybe the reason why I had to fish the whiskey out of the bathroom. Maybe. But welcome back to the RPG, Brandon. Good to see all the members here in the chat today. Let me give a little shout out. Darren Bennett, a madman. Good to see you. Boomer, Incoherent Turd, Onawal, Danielle, Grant Rasha. Good to see you there. Who else do we have here in the chat? Let me make sure we catch the other members because I try to get everybody. Not Kay. Good to see you as well. And Alan69. Good to see you guys checking in. Mistress Meg. Welcome back, and good to see all the OGs of the Legal Mindset. Whether you're a member of BLM, the Base Legal Mindset, my highest tier, or just an RPG member, it's all good in the hood. Also, I think I may do my stream on the Sidney Watson lawsuit. I may do that as members only. I'm debating it. That may be a members only stream. I haven't done a members only stream in a while. That may be members only, so I can do it here and not on Rumble or Locals. That might be fun. Mexican Iron Man. So I left on vacation for 2 weeks. I am back and thought for sure Bob would have it together by the time I got back. Hashtag dang it, Bob. Yes, dang it. And Mike, you've got the invite if you want to pop on. So feel free to pop on during this one because this is a financial case. In this case, it's a lot to do with finances, but we're going to go through the actual language of the lawsuit, which I noticed that Mike was doing with WW Pro. And I'm like, who made this accountant a lawyer? Like, who promoted this guy? But yes, it's very true. And you do a lot to support all of our channels. So thank you very much, Mexican Iron Man. Appreciate you. All right. So let's just jump right into it, guys. So we're going to go into this TSG lawsuit. And I've still got this lingering cough from my cold. I get these coughs. I don't know if you guys ever get this. They linger like 2 or 3 weeks after I'm not sick anymore. So I feel fine, except for the stupid cough. So bear with me here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover the TSG lawsuit. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the Singapore closing, the South Korean theater raids. We're going to talk about that afterwards. Also a little bit on the Rachel Zegler stuff. There's some more stuff that she said. She's kind of always being an idiot, which is kind of her thing. So we're going to go into that as well. So we've got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff planned for today. So we'll try to go for maybe an hour, hour and a half. Should be good stuff. Should be very good stuff. Okay, so let's jump right into it here with the actual complaint. So we're looking at the actual language for the actual complaint, which is filed by TSG Finance. Pop down here with the Los Angeles Central District Superior Court for the state of California. And Mexican Iron Man, how dare you actually meet with real clients? How dare you make money, you damn capitalist? No, good to see that everybody's out there making money, grinding, and working hard. Because I know all the people I work with are extreme hard workers. Okay, so this is a suit between TSG Entertainment Finance and 20th Century Fox and Disney. Now, it's a suit against Fox and Disney because this kind of goes into the time in which Fox was acquired by Disney. So although Disney is not, directly implicated here in terms of they are directly implicated. I'm sorry. Although Disney may not always be mentioned in the lawsuit. In fact, a lot of times they mention Fox. When you see Fox in this lawsuit, you can just read Disney instead because Disney controls Fox. So obviously, a parent company is responsible for its subsidiaries, for its component units. So Fox is a subsidiary, 20th Century Fox is a subsidiary of Disney. So Disney is the one directing the accounting. And you better believe if this BS is going on at Fox, and this is true, which, you know, at this point, to be fair, it's an allegation, but if it's true and it's going on at Fox, you better believe it's going on all throughout Disney. If they're cooking the books for Fox, they're probably cooking the books in the rest of the business units because it's probably a business practice. That's what is kind of the implication here. The SEC and the IRS will definitely be interested, guys. And welcome, JD, member for 2 months, said a member chat. I love that they come through StreamYard now. It's so awesome. Which is keep up the good work, Andrew, Soju Whiskey. Hey, appreciate it. Cheers to you guys. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate your support of the channel. You guys, the members especially, you help me do this day to day and help me keep grinding through all of this content. So cheers. And that's why I think I want to do this Sydney Watson thing as members only, just to give a little bit exclusively for members. Okay, so appreciate that one. And also we got a $5 one from Easy07 says Disney's got no money. They keep giving their activist actors to set it on fire. And not only that, but they're going to give it up as part of this settlement. Because look, guys, I'm not going to hide the ball here. This is, you know, me, I tell you guys straight, tell you guys the honest to God truth. This case is a damn good case in terms of the facts it lays out. But most cases like this are going to settle because Disney does not want egg on its face. Now, the settlement amount may be a huge amount. The dollar number may be very, very significant. But things like this settle because you do not want it to go to trial. But that being said, Disney doesn't have money to pay out right now. Like, they're digging into the couch cushions to get nickels. I mean, these guys are absolutely reaching. Any money they think they're saving from slashing from layoffs or closing Galactic Star Cruiser, they are absolutely losing in these lawsuits and these settlements. Their operating capital, exactly right, is under attack for sure. Absolutely agree with that statement. So let's get into it here. So this is obviously a state civil filing against Disney and Fox. So the plaintiff, this financier, and this is a company that finances on the regular, finances movies. Now, to be very clear, guys, financing movies is a risky bet. I had a friend ask me, and you know, he tried to get my advice on it, and I told him hashtag not financial advice, but he was thinking about investing in movies. And I told him, look, that's a very risky investment. You don't know what you're getting back. It's hard to hold them accountable. There's a lot of costs in terms of distribution where they just might break even and not make money. So it's not necessarily a shoe-in investment to drop money on a movie. The operating capital for a YouTube channel is much, much smaller. I'll tell you that, Mephisto. Our operating capital at Legal Mindset can be called shoestring. So TSG comes in here and they finance films. And so they finance films expecting a return. And the important thing is they're not the only ones that finance films, but they finance a lot of films. And if these guys start being concerned about financing films, you better believe this is going to be a concern over all of Hollywood. So the implication here is huge. This will not just have an effect on Disney, which it certainly will, because Disney's going to pay out. This is going to have an effect on Hollywood. Hollywood is going to they're going to start asking, hey, wait a second. Are we getting what we should have been paid? Are we actually getting what we should have made on these films? And you know why they're going in here and reaching under the couch cushions and why they're looking at this? They're going back and checking their old films because right now there's a strike. When there's a strike, there's no future money, right? They're worried about future revenues, about things coming out in the future. And because they're worried about future revenues, they're saying, hey, look, let's look at our past revenue and let's see if we can make a little bit more through a lawsuit on our past revenue. That's what they're looking at right now. They're looking back and saying, hey, I think we can make more. By the way, speaking of making more, we're at 250 live watchers, but we only have 120 likes. Let's get it up to at least 150, if not 200. At least, at minimum. So let's go on here. So they're suing Fox and Disney. TSG is suing Fox and Disney. The pejorative term, Hollywood accounting, refers to the opaque and creative methods frequently employed by major television and film studios to cheat those who share in the profits of a television series or film out of their fully contracted for shares. It is the word for a scam. I am officially using this term from here on out. That's a great term, Hollywood accounting. I'm going to use this term from here on out whenever I'm talking with Mexican Iron Man, Valiant, all those other guys. We're going to be talking about Hollywood accounting, which we all know implies that it is fraudulent, implies it is BS, implies it is not honest and fair dealing. That is the topic du jour. The modus operandi for Hollywood is to cheat. The practice has unfortunately been ubiquitous among major Hollywood studios, with a recent report from CNN Business. Look, if even the communists at CNN Business are reporting on this, you know it's bad. If CNN Business is turning on Hollywood, there's problems. So they describe the tactics of Hollywood accounting as among the most fantastical fictions ever devised in Tinseltown. Even by those standards, even by the corruption of Hollywood, this case stands out. At its root, it is a chilling example of how two Hollywood behemoths by the way, how do you guys pronounce behemoth? Like behemoth, behemoth, Bahamut? No, that's Final Fantasy. With a long, shameful history of Hollywood accounting, defendants Fox and Disney have tried every trick in the Hollywood accounting playbook to deprive the plaintiff, the financier, who in good faith invested $3.3 billion out of hundreds of millions of dollars. So this tells us the scope here. So here's our numbers, guys. So they think they invested $3.3 billion. And they want hundreds of millions. So Disney is going to probably in a settlement have to kick out hundreds of millions, at least a fraction of that. So let's say they think they were deprived of, let's say, 500 million. Well, then they're probably going to have to kick out 200, 250, a significant number of money. Okay, so the chat says it's behemoth. Behemoth. Okay. Behemoth. Okay. Behemoth. Okay. Behemoth. I like the behemoth, like the but you guys are saying B. So a majority of the chat says B instead of ba. So I guess I may have been doing that one wrong. It's pronounced Lizzo. That's the correct answer. They're all the correct answer. Okay. Behemoth. Okay, got it. Well, these behemoths produced a lot of big movies. So let's talk about these successful movies. So the most successful movies here they have. Let's talk about them, okay? So we've got, and this is from the thumbnail, obviously, Avatar: The Way of Water. So if I recall from the actual earnings call, Bob Iger was pretty much all but verbally filleting Avatar: The Way of Water for its profitability and success. He was talking about how it was such a big financial success, how it made so much money, it did so well. But yet TSG is saying they were scammed out of money for Avatar. So Disney, even on its most successful film, is allegedly scamming people out of money. I didn't see Way of Water. Some people say it was okay. I don't know what you guys think in the chat. We can do a quick poll. Let's see. Way of Water. See, so the good, bad, and I'll add meh and didn't see it, and meh, and didn't see. I didn't see it. So to be full disclosure on my side. So I really can't say whether it was good or bad. Also, appreciate Leprechaun Gold with the $3 super sticker. Thank you so much for your support of the channel. Guys, your super chats and support and memberships help me do this day to day and help me pump out this many videos. You know, so far, 66% of you didn't see it, which I love to see. I love to see. But of the people that did see it, 16% said good, 12% said meh, 6% said bad. So majority of people did not see the film so far. All right. So next, Bohemian Rhapsody. All right. I mean, didn't see that one either, but I heard it might have been okay. You know, Deadpool 2. Okay. So Deadpool and Deadpool 2. I liked Deadpool and Deadpool 2. Obviously, I like the original Deadpool better than Deadpool 2. I think the sequel's starting to get a little tired, but still a good movie. Still a good movie. So X-Men Days of Future Past. I liked Days of Future Past. I think Days of Future Past was pretty good. Logan, I actually really liked Logan. I think Logan was one of my sleeper hits. I wasn't expecting to like Logan, but I actually surprisingly liked Logan. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I did not watch that. I watched Planet of the Apes, the original one they tried to do the reboot on. I didn't like it. I didn't like the direction they're going. Some of the internal messaging. I just didn't like it. Didn't care for it. Martian. Martian was a good one based on a book. They kept it pretty faithful to the book from what I remember. Grand Budapest Hotel. Okay, I like that. I mean, I'll take a I'll take that. I'll take Grand Budapest. I went to a very good very good Wes Anderson like exhibit in Seoul, which was actually pretty cool. Always a dead dog, though. Always a dead dog. Jojo Rabbit, honestly, overhyped. I the first time I actually saw Jojo Rabbit twice. I saw Jojo Rabbit on myself, like as I watched it somewhere, and then I saw it on a plane. And when I saw it the second time, I didn't like it as much. I thought it was overhyped. It wasn't as good as I thought it was. And Taika Waititi, I think, got too much credit for that. And obviously, anything that Taika has touched has been shit. So it kind of justifies my initial take. Was that I think it was just because Jojo Rabbit came out at a time when there was like nothing else really that was even decent. So it was like meh, and that made people think it was great. So I think it was super overhyped. Banshees of Inisherin. Actually, I like that. I saw that in Seoul. Now I had to go online to look it up to like understand the plot, that it was about the Irish Civil War. I didn't get that, but I thought it was pretty good. It was one of those Oscar nominees. What's up, Smoke Jaguar 6? Good to see you, brother, in the chat. Hidden Figures, did not watch that. Shape of Water, did not watch that at all. Isn't Shape of Water the one about the woman who bangs like the fish creature? Is she banging a fish creature in that one? Am I wrong about that? Like, you guys tell me. And Empire of Light, I'm not even sure what Empire of Light is. I actually have to Google that. Let's see what that one's about. It's a 1980s drama about England okay. I don't know whether that was good or not, but okay. People are confirming that she bangs a fish creature. Thank you. Thank you, David Post, for confirming that she bangs a fish creature. It's very important plot point. It's a very important plot point. Yeah, Banshees had good acting. That's why I like Banshees of Inisherin. Very good acting, raw, and it was like set in it was just a set contained story, and there was a story there, and you could actually feel the actors just acting, which I think was really, really missing. It's just actors where you really feel they're really playing the role. So I thought that was actually a decent movie. Okay, so all of these movies are amongst the most successful ones, but that's not all. There were 140 total films. So the number that they potentially scammed them on is huge. It's 140 films. So the scope of this is massive, and the scope of the cooking the books is pretty huge. Ministry of Wrong Thing says the writing is on the wall. Everyone sees there's blood in the water with Disney. They all know Disney is at its weakest, and they have the Hulu deal to pay for. Expect a feeding frenzy of lawsuits. Yes, indeed. And your boy Legal Mindset is here to cover all of them. Because if there's blood in the water, you know, us shyster lawyer sharks are going to feast on that blood. And your boy is fat and sassy on Disney. if I can wreck the rat and just focus on that, I will be absolutely happy. That makes my job easier. I love it. I don't even have to look for news. Disney just keeps creating it for me in their disasters and lawsuits. And guys, I see people talking about the chat rules. I have 3 chat rules. Don't say anything that gets the channel yeeted. No doxing of any kind of anybody and no spamming. Really just 3 rules. 3 rules. Very simple. All right, continuing. TSG financed these films pursuant to a revenue participation agreement with Fox, dated as of December 31st, 2012. So this does predate, to be very fair to Disney, this does predate the merger. So it does predate the acquisition. However, this was amended 9 times, including when Disney had control. So Disney had the ability to amend this. Okay, Mr. K, I see you spamming. So you get timed out for that. Okay. The RPA provides in the relevant part that TSG would co-finance with Fox the production and marketing of certain films, the qualifying pictures. So when you see RPA, I'm going to say the agreement. So this is the agreement between Disney, or rather Fox, and TSG, the financer. And when we say the qualifying pictures, I'm not going to say qualifying pictures. That sounds weird. I'm going to say the movies. And qualifying pictures means all 140 of them. So all 140 of those pictures are the films. As consideration for its financing commitments, Fox promised TSG a share of the defined gross receipts for these qualifying pictures, i.e. Fox's revenues from distributing the qualifying pictures, i.e. the films, the movies, less contractually agreed upon distribution fees and expenses. Okay, I'm going to translate this into English. This is the money. When they talk about defined gross receipts, I'm going to talk about the fucking money. This means pay me the money you owe me. Yes, you're allowed to subtract out certain things, just like in any agreement. If you have a contract, oftentimes, let's say you have an agreement to sell, Snow White merchandise. You might say, okay, I get 50% of the profit less the taxes. So you're allowed to subtract out the taxes. That's normal. Things like that are normal. So what they're saying is there's certain fees that they're allowing them to deduct. They're saying, okay, we have to pay these fees. Let's deduct them. We're going to share these fees. We're going to share the burden of these fees. So that's the money that's owed. Okay, a couple chats here. Let me get this. Butter Biscuit, who just became a member, by the way. Welcome to a membership and welcome to the base legal mindset, the highest level of membership here. Butter Biscuit says, holy crap, Andrew had his orangutan Jeremy moment. I am a bonobo, sir. I am a proud bonobo. TLOU 2 nerdrotic moment. Behemoth. Sorry, behind on stream. Okay, I got it. Behemoth. Even though people said Bahamut, even though others said Bahamoth, even though people said Behemoth, you're saying Behemoth. Meth. We're going with meth here, guys. We won't hear meth. Brandon Lesko for $49.99 says, for hot Cleveland steaming whiskey in action in a Thai bathroom, join locals and hit the like button already, you degenerates. Yes. If you guys want to see me doing shots at 9 in the morning, go to my legalmindset.locals.com and having a very casual conversation in my bathroom. That's legalmindset.locals.com. I will put that in the chat, and also I will make sure to pin that so you guys can go ahead and do that. Now, of course, looking back at the poll, by the way, on Way of Water, you guys said that you didn't see it by and large. 67% did not see it. So appreciate that. And I'll take, a nice little evening shot here, guys, as we go through this and we talk about Disney's failures. So cheers to you guys, and cheers to really coming through and supporting all 478 of you. So cheers, straight from the bottle. because I don't have my shot glasses out right now. Spicy monkey shoulder. All right. Next, let's move on here. And by the way, it's evening because I am in Thailand. I was in Seoul, South Korea, but I am in Thailand now. I live in Bangkok, Thailand now. That's my new home base. I relocated from Seoul. Okay. The amount of TSG's funding requirement and its share of the receipts vary based on the type of film financed. So, in other words, there were certain blockbusters, I'm sure with like Avatar, they were not sharing the same amount of revenue or as with smaller films. So for example, Banshees of Inisherin, that had a way smaller budget than Avatar. So if TSG provided, let's say 25% of the funding, they probably got a larger percentage of the gross receipts. Whereas if it's Avatar and they provided 2% of the funding, well, they're probably getting 1% of the gross receipts. So they're getting a smaller amount of money. Jonas J. Campbell says, drinking straight from the bottle, screen tap time. Very much so. And Jonas, if you do care to join, feel free to pop by a little bit later. I will, you're a good friend of the channel, so I will send you an invite if you care to pop by a little bit later. So invite sent in your X, right? In your X, which does not mean a naughty thing. Just the new name for Twitter. All right. So continuing here. This nature of the agreement places TSG at the mercy of Fox. And remember, whenever we read Fox here, read Disney. So I'm going to just replace this word with Disney. So the nature of this agreement places the financer at the mercy of Disney to be honest, and distribute the amount of the money from the films under the agreement. So this all relies on Disney being honest. And we all know that Disney being honest is a stretch. For years, TSG relied on Fox to do so, which in theory was in the best interest of TSG and Fox. Because here's the theory behind this, guys. If they keep getting paid what they should be getting paid, they're going to be willing to kick up more money to finance them for future films. If they can keep getting a return, they can get more money. Because remember, TSG has investors. So TSG is a fund. TSG has investors. So those investors want a return on their freaking investment. So if they're not getting that, they're not going to want to give money. So Hollywood can't make its shitty films anymore. If Hollywood wants to keep making its shitty woke productions, it needs money from people. But in order to get that money, it has to pay back money. This is where the rubber is finally meeting the road for Disney, where it's saying, hey, wait a minute. Pay me what you owe me, motherfucker. Excuse my language, guys, but it's getting pretty gangster up in here, where it's like, yo, I gave you this money to sling this dope on the corner, and I'm not seeing my return. You should be paying me for a key, and you're coming back and paying me for a gram. What's up? What's up with that? As the years went by, TSG's return on its investment on Fox films decreased dramatically. And here's what they are not saying here. You know when this decreased dramatically? When Disney took over. When Disney took over, the money went way down. Shocking, right? Because this agreement predated Disney, but somehow, magically, through pixie dust and BS, it went down after Disney took over. Weird, right? Really weird. TSG therefore hired an independent auditor. So that's a hombre like Mexican Iron Man. They got a good, hardworking auditor who perhaps likes chalupas. And they came in there and they audited the books. And what they did was they took a sampling of just 3 of the 140 films. Now, guys, this may seem odd, but you understand that they are pulling full receipts and records from all of these films. So that's actually a lot. When you're going through and fully auditing a film, that's a lot of work. So doing 3 films is a lot. Now, if they found no errors, then they would say, okay, everything's just fine. If there's errors in maybe 1 out of the 3, they might say, oh, well, maybe this is an anomaly. Maybe we'll sample another 3 and we'll see if there's anomalies there. But when you discover that there's errors in all 3, it's highly likely that this is systemic. This is happening all over. Yeah, like Zavern says right here, easily over 10,000 documents for 3 films. That absolutely accurate. Absolutely accurate. The auditors discovered that Fox failed to credit TSG with revenue that Fox's own business records showed had been included in the defined receipts. So in the money. So it should have been included in the money. So Disney was not crediting them. The auditors found this, that they were cooking the books and not crediting them correctly. They charged them millions of dollars in distribution fees that the agreement did not prevent. Disney deducted from the money they were owed tens of millions in distribution expenses that had nothing to do with the distribution of the qualifying pictures. To me, this is like back in Wolf of Wall Street. If you guys remember it's T&E, not TNA, because they were paying for the strippers and the ladies of the night to come into the brokerage firm and calling it a distribution expense. It's almost the same thing. But speaking of nonsense, let me welcome to the show real quick here my good friend Jonas J. Campbell. Jonas, how's it going, brother?
It's going fantastic. Hey, guess what that is?
Yeah, good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever you are.
That's super lame of me. It's like a generic Zevia, like fake Dr. Pepper made with like health products. I'm so lame, but that's okay. The closest you'll get to me drinking on the stream.
It's the morning for you. Brandon paid me a king's ransom this morning to drink on my toilet for my locals. So I just had to keep it going here on the live. Keep it consistent throughout the day.
No, I'm not much of a drinker, but drinking on the toilet, that's not generally considered like a high point in success, right?
You know what though? Despite the fact that that's not a high point, it's still higher than where Disney's at right now.
But someone's paying you to do it. I guess that, yeah. Oh my goodness, Disney. I tell you, anyone who has an existing contract with Fox or any of these things that have been bought up by Disney, you need to get a third party in there right now to audit and get yours, because this is not the only story of Disney doing this.
I mean, like, look at this language here, and it's so clear. And like, you wouldn't say this. You would never say these things because this is very much essentially the equivalent of business defamation. It's like tortious interference with contract because they have a contract. You would never say these things unless you knew you could back them up with proof. So here's what look at what they say here. The auditors uncovered rampant self-dealing, the practice by which a studio enters into sweetheart deals with its licensee affiliates to artificially minimize the profit payments to stakeholders like TSG, who only share in the revenues received by the studio, excluding revenues received by the licensee exhibitor. So what this is look, if you and I entered an agreement, so I had an agreement with Jonas J. Campbell, and we are going to split 50-50 revenue. But I also have a separate entity called Andrew Esquire Limited, right? And I say, okay, well, Legal Mindset made $100 million, but I had to share $75 million with Andrew Esquire Limited. So therefore, we're only going to split $25 million between you and I.
Right.
That's what's going on here. That's what they're talking about when they talk about this, which is absolutely a shady business practice. Unfortunately, a lot of businesses do this. And I can even confirm indirectly that I've heard of stuff like this going on in the business world.
Right. And this is something that happens in corporate accounting worlds. When you have a large, especially a global operation, and you have to deal with different regulatory environments and make sure you're charging the right price across borders. When it's done right, there'll be these transfer pricing studies to where they are saying, well, it goes from one to the other. Therefore, these are all the reasons. Here is my tax substantiation. Here are all the reasons I'm justifying to all of these revenue services across the globe why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just think they made a big mistake by doing it with TSG here. They made a big mistake by thinking that no one would look into it and then dealing with a company as large as TSG with as much sway in Hollywood as TSG. I'm not saying they're huge, but if you guys saw their logo, you would go, oh yeah, I've seen that on a lot of productions.
Yeah. Let me see if I pull it up real quick. Yeah, I mean, you see that, and also like when you get into, let me see if I can find this. Maybe it'll take a while. There's actually a couple TSGs. Unfortunately, there's a lot of TSGs.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you.
You can screen share it. That'd be awesome. But it's going to have an effect for the other financiers, the other major financiers. These guys are not like a rinky-dink shop. These guys are a very, very large financing outfit. So a lot of the other ones in Hollywood are going to say, hey, wait a second. We're not making that much money on movies. Let's look back. And if we can file a suit against Disney or whoever else, and we can also claim a percentage, let's do that now. There's blood in the water. Let's go. So TSD is not that Star Wars girl, guys.
This is the one. If you see, it's
the axes. Yes.
Yes, that's from the Odyssey and the Iliad. It's supposed to be Odysseus shooting an arrow through all of these axe heads.
I've seen this before many times. Many times.
Yeah, it's a lot of Fox productions, and generally speaking, they've got pretty good taste in what is supposed to make money. So they're not messing around. They're not just out there financing whatever. So
no, and we looked at the earlier. We looked at the list here, and I'll scroll back up for a second. The list of the properties, and certainly, when I list these out: Avatar, The Way of Water, Bohemian Rhapsody, Deadpool 2, X-Men, Logan, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, The Martian, Grand Budapest Hotel, Jojo Rabbit, Banshees of Inisherin, Hidden Figures, Shape of Water, and Empire of Light. I mean, do you generally think successful films or failures?
Well, yeah. These are all movies that also there's a pretty good quality level here as well. These are actually good movies that tend to have commercial appeal. I mean, there's probably Avatar: The Way of Water. Paul Chatto mentioned the other day that movie, because of the way that Cameron made it, he gets a lot of leeway in how that all gets amortized across the 5 humongous films that he's making at the same time. That being said, eventually that series will make money, and TSG probably has a right of first refusal on any sequels going there after. But you'd know better than I would. You're the lawyer.
Yeah, no, I mean they often do have a right of first refusal. They do place those, and it's very common. However, I haven't seen the agreement, so I can't say, okay, there is a right of first refusal, but that would sound very standard. If it was me, I would write that in.
Well, there's a lot of chains here of all the X-Men movies, or all the the new Agatha Christie, Kenneth Branagh. They did Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and now Haunting in Venice. They're involved in that. Whether or not they're just like, you gave us money last time, can you do that again?
They just, and also, if it's successful, they have no reason not to, right? And if they're being paid back, which is the key here, right? If they're being paid what they're owed, then they have no reason why not to lend more money. If they're making a return for their investors, why would they not do that? That just makes complete sense for them, right? And to continue to invest.
And let's say it's one of these situations, and maybe you covered this, and I'm just repeating you in a less intelligent way. If Disney decides to take Death on the Nile and put it on Disney Plus and say, oh, well, it made $100 million more because our streaming service paid $100 million. TSG is not getting that $100 million. That's Disney doing a journal entry to put it from one section of their company to another section of the company, and it gets zeroed out at the top end. But they get to say on that particular movie that it made $100 million more than it did.
Right. And they can plus it up because of that, right?
Right, like Black Adam is a great instance. It's not a Fox or a Disney property, but Black Adam technically made money within Warner Brothers, but that movie did not make money.
Technically, right? But then when you look at, you less out all the things you have to less out, like advertising, marketing, right? That's what we get into the numbers. So we're like, wait a second, these things aren't making money.
Yep.
So let's get into this. That when it transitioned to Disney, I wanted to skip to this part, which I think is very important. So in 2019, Fox was acquired by Disney. So here we enter the villains of the story. Shortly after, Disney's then CEO Bob Chapek announced that Disney would restructure to focus strategically on building value in its wholly and majority-owned SVOD platforms, such as Disney and Hulu. So essentially, they're streaming video on demand. SVOD is streaming video on demand. I don't know why they don't just say streaming. We all understand what streaming means.
Because they sound smarter when they use an acronym.
We're using an industry term.
Well, as with SVOD, AVOD, PVOD, although, AVOD is still streamed because it's advertising video on demand, and PVOD is premium video on demand. That video on demand aspect there is kind of secondary. And
okay, I was getting kind of concerned with PVOD, but yeah.
Or paid video on demand.
Okay. This is what Disney wants to make its most attractive content available for streaming on these platforms as soon as possible. And we saw this, right? We saw them wanting to push things to streaming ASAP to build those platforms. That was definitely, I think this is an accurate statement of their strategy. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah.
That they wanted to get things on Disney Plus and Hulu ASAP.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Especially in 2020, and then trying to get all of the pixie dust off their eyes from 2020 going so well for Disney Plus.
Yeah. Standing in the way of this strategy, however, was that Fox Films, including the films that they owed money on, the qualifying pictures, were contractually exclusive to HBO in the pay one window. So that's like the first showing window. Mm-hmm. And therefore cannot be offered on Disney Plus and Hulu without violating HBO's license. Undeterred, Disney ordered Fox, so it's now subsidiary, right, to renegotiate its contract and give up a significant portion of guaranteed HBO license fees in return for HBO agreeing that Fox could license these qualifying pictures to Disney Plus and Hulu. So they literally made them give up on guaranteed cash for the speculative belief that if they rush these to Disney Plus and Hulu, this is going to pump those platforms.
That is horrifying because Disney Plus is a graveyard right now for content.
And in terms of revenue, it's a revenue graveyard, right? Like it's just a sinking ship. So you're trying to say like, okay, we're trying to give up real money. We're trying to give up money that is just guaranteed in the bank, in the pocket, which Disney would have had. So it can pump Disney Plus and it can say, look at how successful Disney Plus is, right? Because they're trying to go with momentum, I guess, right? The momentum of the 2020s and 2021 of COVID specifically.
I wonder at this point if all of the Avatar films will appear on Max at the same time that they appear on Disney Plus, because we were all confused over on our side as to why the Nielsen figures refused to separate Avatar between Max and Disney Plus. You could get the 4K on Max, by the way, if you're going to watch that one. I still haven't gotten around to it, but Disney Plus is exhausting. They have nothing on that streaming service, so of course they're going to be desperate to put anything they can to confuse you into thinking that Disney made a good movie.
Right. Exactly. So like to kind of glaze it over and say, no, it's great. And we made it, by the way, even though a lot of these movies were really Fox deals that were negotiated even prior to Disney. A lot of the stuff
it's all Lightstorm. It's all James Cameron.
Right.
The Avatar is and all,
Avatar, yeah. And a lot of these other movies too, Disney had pretty minimal. The ones they mentioned, like Banshees of Inisherin or Shape of Water. I mean, they had nothing to do with that.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll add to that. Now there's the Pro had a confirmed scoop that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are going to be in Secret War.
Oh God.
Because Disney's strategy right now is to try to confuse the audience into, oh, you remember those movies that you all hated before MCU came around? Well, we guarantee you it won't be like the MCU movies you're thinking of now. It'll be like those MCU movies those Marvel movies you remember from before we screwed it up.
Yeah,
it's a mess.
Yeah, that is a huge mess. So to continue here, Disney convinced HBO to waive its exclusivity and thus enable Disney Plus and Hulu to exhibit films concurrently with HBO. So there you go. So that was their agreement. We're allowed to stream them at the exact same time as HBO. Therefore, they wouldn't break up those numbers. On information and belief, renegotiating of that pay one output cost Fox millions of dollars that would otherwise have been reported to TSG as money owed to TSG. Remember, defined gross receipts means money owed to TSG. Therefore, furthermore, once the rights reverted to Fox, it entered into sweetheart deals with affiliates Disney Plus and Hulu. This deal did not even approach the tremendous value that Disney derived from exhibiting the films on its wholly owned streaming platforms. So the deals between Fox and Disney Plus were a joke. They did not pay out. So there was a self-dealing there between Disney and Fox because Disney owned Fox. So they just made it essentially a sweetheart deal to screw over TSG and the other financiers. As part of its renegotiation, Fox shortened its traditional home video window in order to more quickly make the films available on Disney Plus. Once again, Fox cannibalized and Disney cannibalized a key revenue stream.
Bob Iger seemingly confirmed that on the earnings call, by the way.
Yes, which is crazy. And all this talk on the earnings call of Avatar: Way of Water, he was simping hard for Avatar: Way of Water on that earnings call. It was like his one little ray of light, which really isn't even a Disney thing. It was so odd.
Right, and he got very close to claiming that that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 did really well, but all he could claim was 850 in global, which they didn't pull 850 million off of that one.
And then you subtract out the advertising, huge advertising for that one, huge marketing. Yeah, not. I mean, okay film. You know, I thought of all the recent Marvel films I've seen, that was probably the best one, but still not profitable. I think because of what they're doing at large, and because no one cares about Marvel anymore. Right, they've made them not care.
And there's also a thing that I've had people that are like, well, okay, so this one is supposedly not woke. What's in it? And I said, well, I hear there's a lot of animal torture in it, and they go, okay, no, thank you,
I'm out.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a hard one. Darren Bennett says, when the rubber meets the road, Meatloaf song. Love Meatloaf. Ministry of Wrong Things, since tortious interference. Yes. So they definitely have a tortious interference of contract claim. So yes, that is sort of like, it's almost like business defamation, I call it. Like, it's almost the same way. It's when you do something knowingly and it's going to damage an existing contract. It's like when you almost with defamation, you say something knowing it's not true. Like you call somebody a criminal, or you say they have a disease that they don't have. That's defamatory. It's per se defamatory. Or for example, if someone's a lawyer and you say they're not a lawyer, yeah, that's defamation as well. Like that's defamation in that sense. In the business sense, when you have a contract, you have a contract, and you do something to undermine that, that's tortious interference. And thank you so much, Leprechaun Gold, for the $50 super sticker. Appreciate you. Let's see which one it is. It is the hippo in a box punching. Thank you so much for the hippo in a box punching the air with gold flying around. Appreciate that, and appreciate your support of this channel. Every dollar counts. It also helps me do what I do on a regular basis. Also, what helps me is likes. We are almost at 668 since Jonas came on. We popped up 100 live viewers.
Hey, look at
guys,
that.
If you like this, smash a like button. Drop a J in the chat for Jonas if you like having him on and like having the guests on. But appreciate
that. In that case, I got to put some J's in the chat.
And thank you for the 50 in the chat. Yeah, Jonas puts a J in the chat. I'll drop a single J in the chat for you, Jonas. Okay, so these deviations were had allegedly, according to TSG, had the ultimate goal to prop up, mind you, to prop up these platforms artificially. This would be artificially, right? To prop up these streaming platforms and the share price of its stock.
Absolutely.
Using content from other divisions of the company. Ruh-roh, Scooby-Doo. That one is here. Moreover, here we go. Bob Iger admitted his company pursued this strategy recklessly and with little forethought. During the August 9th earnings call,
oh, beautiful.
That he announced their second subscription price increase. He admitted, we grew the business really fast before we even understood what our pricing strategy should or could be. Iger in the call screwed them. I told you guys.
That's so beautiful.
There would be so much coming out of this call, but Iger stuck his foot in his mouth. Absolutely beautiful here, guys. This is why we cover this stuff, because we watched it live with you guys, and I remember him saying that.
You know, that's the opposite of what he said in the CNBC interview. He stood up for his pricing strategy on Disney Plus in that CNBC interview, which is now like that's going to be an albatross over his neck for the rest of his career.
He just keeps putting himself in it, like in these calls where, you know, this time he said this, it resulted in a lawsuit. Congratulations, Bob. Good job there. Where, by the way, what are the analysts who are thinking about your stock price going to think when TSG, a major legitimate company, not some rinky-dink establishment, says that you have an overinflated stock price? Yeah, I don't think this is going to be good when this circulates.
Yeah, just for comparison, Comcast has about half the stock price right now, and the same, if again, not financial advice.
Not financial advice. Hashtag.
The same, if not more, market capitalization. Also, Warner Brothers, I do believe they're doing pretty well as far as stock price versus market capitalization. So this is a key thing here. That Disney Plus metric is so tied to their stock price right now. If the guys who run Bluey, and I had a long Twitter thread that was basically, hey, you guys who make Bluey, I think you need to understand that you hold the entire Walt Disney Company in your hands right now. If you decide to yank your stuff from Disney Plus, everything going on with Disney right now is tied to this streaming service that they have spent $13 billion, maybe $15 billion on right now. And they can't just say, we're going to stop. They have to keep going, and they have to keep spending money, and they have to do whatever and they're probably going to end up killing Hulu in order to merge it with Disney Plus, which is a horrendous idea. Everything is tied to that Disney Plus subscriber number and the ARPUs for Disney Plus, and they have nothing they can do. I don't think that I think TSG understands this right now, because if those numbers keep going down, the stock price will keep going down, and they need those numbers to go up for the Hulu issue. I don't know how familiar your audience is with the January 2024 situation.
Well, we're pretty familiar with it. We've talked about Hulu and the Hulu timeline. In fact, guys are constantly asking me, they were asking me this morning, what's the status on the Hulu arbitration? I said, guys, they have not settled that arbitration. That is still going on right now. They have not come to a number. So we actually still do not know how much they're going to have to pay out for Hulu. That's not decided yet. So the only thing we have is a minimum. We've all been going, every source has been going on the minimum. But if they're going through arbitration, Disney is not paying the minimum. Okay? They're not going to arbitrate and come out to the minimum. They're going to come out to some number above the minimum. It might be just slightly above the minimum, but it's not going to be the minimum. I think it's going to be a larger amount they're going to have to pay out than the contractual minimum.
And we talked about the kitchen sink there on the call, all of the funding sources that they were talking about. And then they also addressed shareholder equity that they would have to hand over. There's a pretty good indication that this could be $23 billion. Could be.
Yeah. And they're going to devalue their stock through further issuances of debt, right? So they're going to further leverage themselves. So, I mean, and
this is on top of the arbitration about Disney intentionally not growing Hulu in order to screw over Comcast, so they didn't have to pay Comcast additional funds. They're so lucky it's arbitration instead of court. I mean, you would know better than I would. They're lucky. From my perspective,
arbitration is much cheaper than court, and they're very lucky in that. And also, it's not public, so a lot of arbitration is completely private, so they can keep that off the books. Disney, for example, in this case, the one we're talking about right now, this will never go to trial, because if this did, all of those records on their financing would become public record. Can you imagine the field day that Mexican Iron Man, Valiant, all these guys would have tearing through the public records of their books, auditing them live on a stream? It's like the audit stream. It's like a 24-hour stream where they're just going through auditing their books live.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Amazing. Would destroy them and absolutely be, I mean, that would be a nightmare for Disney, an absolute nightmare for Disney. And then, of course, the SEC comes knocking, right? And that's a whole separate can of worms, because once the stuff is out there in public, the SEC has to do something about it. They can protect their friends and allies because, you know, they're all playing for the same team right now politically in terms of the administration. But when it's out there in public, they actually have to address it because, well, it's out there in public, right? So now they've got to go do it to save face. Yeah, and good to see Stealth the Alternate in the chat. I appreciate you stopping by to to hang out. What's up? Good to see you. Also, 2 super chats. Rob Biller says, think of the money to be made if Disney were made a classic Disney streaming video on demand, 1930s to 1980s. I think it would be the biggest streamer in a matter of months. What do you think about that?
If they actually put all of their classic content on there, I think they'd have something. Or if they had a separate streaming service to say, here's all
unedited,
here's all your woke garbage after this.
Unedited, classic only, and it includes Song of the South. I did it. I said it. I said it. I said it.
Hey, I gotta say, Song of the South is classic Disney. It is not a bad film. In fact, there's a little scene in there where they
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. It's everything that you would expect from the Walt Disney Company. And if you say no, reality is not like a Disney film, I think that we all understand that no one needs to put their entire basis of reality on a live action Walt Disney film.
Yeah. No, there's a great meme where it's like we've finally done all of the live action remakes of Disney films. What else can we do? And then there's a guy in the boardroom who's like, well, there's one we haven't done. And they're like, kill this man, get rid of him. And the guy's doing like the Gendo from Evangelion, like, do it, Song of the South.
Oriental Land Company would love it. They put something in Tokyo Disneyland.
They would have a field day. I would be over there with the Japanese girls in Briar Rabbit cosplay. It would be fantastic. I'll be there in 2 seconds. Rob Biller says, Steamboat Willie to Swiss Family Robinson to something wicked, this comes this way, and everything in between. Yeah, absolutely. The Swiss Family Robinson, so wholesome. I mean, that's like, you think about like those properties versus today and how wholesome they were. It's just not even close.
Oh, yeah. The 1960s Parent Trap is a great film.
So good.
Here's what I love about that. There's a scene where the dad is just on a horse doing blocking, just sitting on a horse for no reason. They would never do this in a modern film because nobody knows how to do it, and they'd be scared of the animals and all this stuff, as opposed to, this is just what I do.
Yeah. Let's say who would star in the remake? It's like, I know the meme was like Idris Elba in Song of the South, but that'd be pretty hilarious.
That'd be amazing.
All right, well, let's continue though. Going towards here, by 2022, Fox's pattern of self-dealing and Hollywood accounting. By the way, Jonas, in case you don't know, I love it, and I'm going to use this term because this lawsuit lays out that the term Hollywood accounting literally means cheating and cooking the books.
Perfect. And I love that they've capitalized
it. As that, yeah.
Wait, they have that in the definitions at the beginning of this lawsuit?
Hold on, let me scroll up here. So we're on page, I'm going to keep my place here, page 6. So yeah, this is beautiful. Let me read this to you. The term Hollywood accounting refers to the opaque and creative methods frequently employed by major television and film studios to cheat those who share in the profits of TV and films. And it goes, this is obviously ubiquitous, but even by those standards, this case stands out. That to me was like, ooh, you got him.
That's perfect. I always bring it up. According to Hollywood accounting, Return of the Jedi never made any money.
Yes. According to Hollywood accounting. Darren Bennett says, I'm in the Philippines, so Hulu is not here. I used my VPN for the first year here in 2008, but the cost of VPN and Hulu and Netflix was costly. Yeah, it gets too much to like have it all. You just want to pick, one that you find yourself using the most and stick with that one. That's my strategy if you're going to do streaming. I don't know about you, Jonas.
Yeah, if Disney Plus is in the Philippines, all of that Hulu content is on Star, which is, instead of doing Hulu internationally, they put all of that Hulu content on a Disney-owned streamer that they didn't have to share with Comcast, which is the basis for one of their arbitration cases with Comcast.
Yeah. So here we go. Because of this thoughtless Disney strategy, so they're pinning this wholly on Disney, and Disney as being the one who came up with this kind of self-dealing idea. So this is pretty straight at Disney here. This is not really so much a Fox. This is directly targeted Disney, even by TSG. This deprived TSG of the cash it needed to fund future films. Because this lack of liquidity, they could not pay out for these future Fox films. So they had one last tool, and that is to repurchase, right? So this is the qualifying picture repurchase slate. So it entitled them to request a repurchase offer on groupings of 5 consecutively released films. Under the RPA, if Fox and TSG are unable to come to terms on the repurchase price, TSG is entitled to market and sell its interest in the tranche of qualifying films to third-party buyers, which pretty much means is that TSG lost faith. This is like a no faith out. Right? They're saying, look, we want to sell our option. And if we want to sell it, we're going to sell it to a third party because we don't want part of this because we don't trust you. So they went to exercise that option. However, Fox declined to engage with TSG and instead took the position that the requests were untimely as to the older tranches of films. This was disingenuous because Executive Vice President and CFO Paul Shurgott, speaking on behalf of Fox, said, while we don't agree with your characterization of the agreement, we are open to finding a path forward to resolve this. However, as discussed, we are not open to providing an offer on selected non-consecutive tranches that are among the most profitable tranches released to date. So their concern was, we don't want to negotiate our profitable properties, our profitable films. We only want to renegotiate stuff that sucks. We are not going to renegotiate good stuff. We're only going to renegotiate sucky stuff.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, a tranche is a collection of goods sold like a security.
Like a security. If you remember back from, I just rewatched The Big Short the other day.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The mortgages, right? A mortgage tranche, it's several mortgages. So it's a tranche of films. So for example, like they're saying this would be a tranche, like X-Men, Days of Future Past, Dawn of Planet of the Apes, and The Martian. Imagine that's a tranche. They said these tranches were tranches of 5. So just add on 2 more, like Logan and Deadpool. Let's say that's one, right? So and they say, well, we're not going to give you that, but we'll give you Shape of Water, Banshees of Inisherin, and like a random movie that didn't make any money.
A little bit of garbage. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the grab bag idea. We guarantee you will have one thing that you actually want, and the 4 other things are going to be the crap we can't get rid of.
Right. Oh, sorry. It's tranche, I think, is the pronunciation, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, tranche, whatever. It's all good. My earlier struggle was saying behemoth. Oh,
behemoth,
whatever you want to say it as.
I just realized Bahamut and Behemoth are probably the same
They're very
word.
close, right? And they're both in Final Fantasy. So
that's right.
Yes, it's a thing. I can tell you're a nerd when you get that reference. So they didn't want to renegotiate that. So they literally failed to exercise a contract option. Guys, in the legal world, this is pretty damn bad. This is like a pretty clear contractual breach here. When you're talking about contractual dealings within parties. What were you going to say, Jonas?
Oh, nothing.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were speaking of. Darren Bennett says, I canceled Hulu and Netflix. Never had Disney Plus here. So over in the Philippines. So cancel both, which can't blame you on that one. Mr. Shurgott's email was illuminating. First, it revealed that Fox's excuse for making offers was purely pretextual. Fox simply did not like that TSG had selected some of its most profitable tranches released to date. So it just didn't want the ones that made money to be on the table. It didn't want to negotiate those. In fact, the email came from Mr. Shurgott, an employee of Disney, not Fox, revealed that Disney was now calling the shots. Yeah. See, a lot of people reporting this case are focusing this on Fox. This is not a Fox issue. This is a Disney issue. This is a Disney lawsuit. It's very misleading when people think this is a Fox lawsuit. This is really about Disney's behavior, because Disney is the one that really brought this up, and it says it right here. This was driven by the tortious interference of Disney in the RPA. These are legal terms. This is a tort, right? Or i.e. a civil action, a violation of the law. So they are clearly saying Disney violated the law, not Fox, Disney.
You know, the usual half-life after Disney buys something is 10 years before it's useless. I'd say that we're only at 4 years on Fox right now.
Fox is quickly becoming problematic, real quick. Fox's refusal to come to the table and make offers to repurchase them left TSG unable to generate sufficient liquidity to fully fund certain new qualifying films, including Avatar: The Way of Water. Thus, TSG was forced to avail itself another advance from Fox, the Fox Picture advance, to meet its funding obligations. The consequence was its share of the receipts was reduced, eroding its ability to generate liquidity for future productions, and frustrating the ability to realize the benefit of its agreement with Fox. Most egregiously, this scheme triggered a provision in the RPA entitles Fox to a 50% share of TSG's profits after the winding up of TSG's investment vehicle. This is a crazy agreement. I would say their lawyers need to check themselves if they agreed to that originally in the terms here. I would love to get my hands on the RPA in its full context, but this sounds like not a good provision here. But adding insult to injury, Fox and Disney attempted to capitalize on Fox's prior breaches and misconduct to further line their pockets. Disney and Fox planned to invoke a provision of the RPA that would force TSG to sell all of its films to Fox at less than their true value and require TSG to waive all of its existing claims against Fox.
Ooh. That does not look good for Disney.
In short, they took the appalling step of doubling down on their own breaches of contract to bully TSG into submission and prevent the filing of a lawsuit. However, TSG will not be bullied and Fox's misconduct will not be swept on the lawsuit. Guys, this is when you F around and find out. This is literally where it is. And that's the end of the summary here. So we're going to wrap it there because it's kind of the end of the lawsuit summary.
Well, I will say, based on Disney's previous statements, it's obvious that this is a First Amendment issue, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's a clear First Amendment issue. This is TSG is attempting to stifle their speech. They're being haters. It's because they're Democrats. Even though I believe Brandon Lesko looked this up earlier, even though I believe TSG is like majority Canadian funded.
Yeah.
So of course that's like lefter than Mao. But and by the way, let me read this one little last part of the complaint here before I get this kind of the end of the summary. The aforementioned examples are the tip of the iceberg and the limited audit of less than 3% of the qualifying pictures. What they demonstrate is part of a pattern of Hollywood accounting, self-dealing, and interference with contract calculated to minimize TSG's return and enrich Fox and Disney, its parent company. TSG is left with no choice but to file this complaint. So, guys, this is potentially, once again, hundreds of millions of dollars which Disney is incurring in liability because they're going to end up settling this, which they did not need to spend, but only through their business practices, through their corrupt business practices. Did you have any final thoughts on this and kind of like the after effects? I know you're laughing here.
No, the 3% there, only 3% of their books were out of whack, and they could tell from that the entire operation was faulty. I think that Disney, as a vertically integrated company, has gotten used to having their own way for so long, especially over the last 10 years, the 10 years that Bob Iger liked to talk about on that last call. I think that they have gotten a little too comfortable always getting their way. The Reedy Creek situation is obviously a clear indication of that.
Yes.
The way that they convince shareholders to pay an additional $20 billion for Fox, even though they're not doing anything for that, they're probably going to pay an additional $20 billion to get that access to the rest of Hulu, even though it's not going to gain them anything.
Correct.
I would really love it if Disney's accounting procedures really made it to the light of day, because I have a feeling they've been doing whatever they want for a very long time. And there's someone who's in contact with Pro and Valiant, and I've gotten to see a couple emails here that I don't know if anything will ever come of that can see the light of day. But there's a lot of people who would love for Disney's accounting practices to come out into the forefront.
In anywhere, in any lawsuit, in anywhere, if there's any vehicle regulatory examination where we can just get inside their books, just a little crack. I just want to see a little bit, I don't even see the whole thing. I'm like I said, I would love to see the accounting just on the films they audited. Like, make that public. Just that. I mean, TSG, just saying, just file it in court, right? That will go so far.
Now here's my question, though. If in the course of this, the rest of those books become public and they discover that it was actually a much higher amount than they're asking for, do they get to refile? Do they have the opportunity to refile?
Yeah, they have the option to refile if they have an extra additional information. If it's more than they're asking for, more than the sum that they're asking for. And let me go to the prayer for relief here, because it's pretty open. So what they're asking for here is, and this is why it's so dangerous, for monetary damages in an amount to be proven at trial, which means they don't even know the scope right now, Jonas. This could be massive. They have this open to filing a larger amount, right? And punitive damages in an amount to be proven. Attorney's fees. This is a lot of money. This is potentially a massive amount of money if these books are open.
Oh, this is beautiful, because right now Disney is scouring the couch cushions to try to find any money they can. They're cashing in there. Yeah, they're cashing in debentures in the UK in the amount of $200 million. This lawsuit sounds like it's probably going to be well above that amount. And by the way, those debentures were.
They're going to take the $200 million and straight up hand it to these guys. Like it's going to literally go right to these guys, because this is a shoe-in settlement for at least 200 million at minimum, at a bare minimum.
If anybody else has one, then now is the time. Disney wants these to go away because they need money desperately right now. On their books, they have $2 billion in free-flowing cash, and they need 25 billion. So they need to multiply that by a factor of 12 before January. They probably won't come up with all of it.
And remember, they're already banking, like they gave this away in their earnings call. They're already banking on having to leverage their credit. They're already banking on taking a massive loan. So that's part of their strategy. They're going to have to do that. Like it's just going to be for a larger and larger percentage. Their leverage is going to be larger and larger, which is going to become more and more problematic for Disney as they go forward. And are they going to have to issue shares? Are they going to have to dilute their shares? Like, we'll see.
As we've said before, the value of Hulu right now, that 30% of Hulu represents 14% of the entire value of the Walt Disney Company. They cannot hand over that much cash, and they cannot hand over that much stock either. And if they want to take out what is it right now, 13% interest on a loan for that amount, they're also screwed, because then they're probably not making that much money on their streaming services, because Disney Plus is not profitable right now. So they're surrounded by bad moves. So
it's just bad move after bad move after bad move after bad move. Now, I will be very clear here. So two super chats. Leprechaun Gold gave me a super sticker of "You are amazing." Thank you so much, Leprechaun Gold. Appreciate that. And then Steph gave me 20 British pounds, saying, "What are the chances the damages become more than Fox's 780 million settlement with Dominion?" Okay, I do want to be very clear here, Steph, though. To be very clear, because I'm a lawyer and I try to be precise, even though I may be a little fast and loose with certain declarations. I will be very specific. The Fox that settled is different than the Fox here. So remember, Disney acquired all of Fox except for the news segment. So like the Fox News you think of, like the TV news, they didn't acquire that. So Disney doesn't control Fox News. They control 20th Century Fox. So their film properties, their IP, they control that, but not that part of Fox. Fox News was broken off, that part of Fox Corp. So that settlement was between that section of Fox and Dominion. So just to be very, very clear about that in the liability. However, 780 million, I don't think they'll settle for that. I think my guess would be somewhere between 500 and 200 at the low end. Could be 780. It's possible, but I'm thinking something like $500 million might be reasonable. I mean, we're talking about significant chunks of change here, but this is where we're at. This is where we're at. When you're talking about 140 films and malfeasance in 140 films, that's a lot of money. That's potentially a lot of money. So let me move on to a couple other topics. And Jonas, I'm interested to get your take, because these are some that other people have gone over, like Valiant and Pro, and I'm going to hit them real quick here. All relatively related. So Pro had brought up this article, and this was in South Korea, and it's actually from a while ago, but he brought this up, and he had I think he had Mexican Iron Man on at the time, and he asked about these raids of the major cinemas in South Korea. As you guys know, I used to live in South Korea. I live in Seoul, South Korea. And they raided major cinemas there, specifically CGV, Megabox, and Lotte, which is Lotte is a giant corporation. These are all giant corporate-owned cinema chains. And the part was they were not properly sharing the revenue of local films. And local films, in case you guys don't know, most films in Korea, if you go to the theater, they're Korean language films, and they're starring Koreans with Koreans. Like, they're not made for people outside Korea. So if I go to a theater in Korea, there's probably 20 films playing, and 17 of them, maybe 15, are Korean films for Koreans, especially during the pandemic. That was very much a thing because Korea was still making properties when the West was shut down and being woke and doing all other bullshit. They were finding ways to make films and put out intellectual content. So one thing is they kind of had corrupt practices. Now people are saying, could this extend to Disney? Well, I don't think directly, but here's where I see the link. The link is South Korea oftentimes has a problem with large corporations like chaebols, which control large segments of their economy, like Samsung. People know Samsung, LG, Hanwha, large corporations that control a lot of the Korean economy. And one problem with that is they often cook the books, right? Because they're dealing with a lot of self-dealing, and like they own the subsidiary that they're selling to. The Koreans are masters of that. So when the police are investigating this, it's not that this is going to go over indirectly. What it is, it's a parallel to Disney, right? Because Disney here is engaging in the same sort of practices of self-dealing that often are the case in large institutions, which don't have a lot of oversight and have a lot of subsidiaries, so they can engage in self-dealing. So that's where I see the parallel. It's not that South Korea is going to start investigating Disney, although they could. It's that they're engaging in the same practices. So that's what I see there in that parallel. I don't know if you'd heard about this one at all.
Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't know how dominant American films are over there, but it sounds like Korea actually has its own culture and it won't allow American companies to colonize it. So good for them that they have their own culture.
Yeah, it's weird too. Yeah, actually, I would say let me revise the numbers. So 20 films, 5 American films or foreign films, like some of them will be German or whatever else, some other weird Bollywood maybe. And then 10 Korean, and maybe there's 5 anime. I forgot about anime. So there's 5 anime, but the anime is dubbed into Korean. So it's not meant for like me to come in and weeb out, right? It's meant for Koreans to come in and take the Japanese that's translated into Korean very quickly. So a lot of anime is quickly translated into Korean because the Korean market has a significant anime market in the theaters. So just so you guys know. Next, this is one that I haven't commented too much, but I do want to get your thoughts. What do you think about the closing of the Singapore VFX film with the Clone Wars? I don't know if you heard about that one.
Yeah, I think it's a tragedy. There's this beautiful building over there. Looks like a sand crawler, but in glass.
Yeah. Let me see if I can look it up.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous building. And at first I thought, does this accidentally look like a sand crawler? Until I found out who owned it, and it was obviously George Lucas.
Right.
So this building these effects houses. It's animation and part of ILM, and the Singapore branch. They're probably not paying them as much as they would pay the American counterparts, with good reason.
Although I will say it is Singapore. This is not like they're not paying slave wages over here, right? This is a very developed country.
Right.
Singapore is by no means third world. For those that have traveled abroad.
Right. I don't want to bring it up and make it sound like, you would pay someone less in the Midwest than you would in California, because in California, $100,000 a year would be considered poverty wages for a low level film person. So, whereas you can maybe get by on $60K in the Midwest and be doing just fine. We're comfortable, y'all. So yeah, the wage comment was just on a dollar for dollar. They're probably paying less for
basis. Yeah, you're right. You're right. There's probably a dollar for dollar basis. It's lower, but it's not that much lower. Like we're not talking about like they're paying pennies on the dollar. It's probably 60 cents is 60 cents on the dollar. 80 cents might be very reasonable.
Yeah, you might notice there's no weird nets posted on the side of this building to try to catch people like you might see in a Chinese facility.
Yes.
So this facility had about 300 workers in it. It seems like we've all been kind of bewildered that there was no comment on Lucasfilm as far as the layoffs go. Bob Iger made a comment in the earnings call talking about, we announced 7,000 people were being laid off. He didn't say we laid off 7,000 people. He said we announced. Looking at the numbers, it's probably more than they have already stated. And it sounds like Lucasfilm is finally, it's their turn. I'm not saying finally like, oh, good, people are losing their jobs, but it sounds like the layoffs are ongoing and now they're coming to Lucasfilm. So I would expect to see more. We've got some internal chatter and some sources that are saying things are going on at Lucasfilm. Animation is one of the most successful aspects of Lucasfilm right now. So that's disappointing.
And if you think about the property, like the underlying property, Clone Wars, like I think, like, actually, let me do a poll in the chat, like if who watched Clone Wars or like Clone Wars. But to me, like Clone Wars, I thought most people liked it. I mean, did you ever watch it, or did your kids watch it? Or
I watched it because I wanted to know what the big deal was. The first season and the movie are pretty rough. The animation is very wooden and basic, and it got better as it got a little closer to what's going on in the movies. Ahsoka Tano, that we're all going to be talking about here more.
Oh God, yes.
That's a character
as it gets progressively woke, yes.
Yeah, that character started out insufferable, and they had a whole story arc where they kind of fixed her and made her into an accountable person who's not like, I'm the funny one, and I'm gonna put all the heroes in their place.
Right.
Ending
you
with
mean Rey. You mean Rey? They unrayed her.
Yeah, they did. And you get to spend more time. Now, there's also ridiculous things in there, like the Droid Squad episodes, where it's some guy who wants to take the droids out on a secret mission, and a literal kaiju attacking Emperor Palpatine. There is ridiculous stuff in the Clone Wars. But that being said, overall, there's some good stuff in there. As any long running creative venture, there's some lows and some highs.
Right.
So sorry not to go too far down that path.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Butter Biscuit asks, any chance Hulu goes back to Comcast if Disney can't pay? So I'm not privy to that contract, but I don't think that's how it works. I think that Comcast can like compel them to pay. So what I would say is it would go to court, because they'd say, no, pay us what you owe us. You owe us this money. You have to pay us out contractually. This is a breach of contract. So they've got to come up with that money to pay, or I think that would go to court. It would be breach of contract. They're supposed to pay.
Yep, it's the put call.
Yeah, I mean, there's no option. They don't have an option. It's a open and shut case. I mean, Disney has acknowledged they have to pay. They can't get out of this one. It would just be delaying it and putting the cost up in the long run. It really would not be good for them to go down that route of just not paying. To come up with the money is the best option.
Yep. I'll throw this in here. That beautiful building was sold to Blackstone, not to be confused with Larry Fink.
Black Rock.
Yeah, yes. Back in 2021. So at least it went into good hands.
Yeah. So one more thing. I know you've got limited time here, Jonas, but I do want to get your opinion on this one, because this is a one that's kind of right up your alley. So I thought I was done with like commenting on Rachel Zegler and like what was going on there. But did you hear this comment? And let me actually make sure I play it through a tab so it doesn't echo here. But this comment that she just dropped on the strike, right? Her strike comments. This one is golden. I don't know if you've heard this, but for those out there that haven't heard this, strap in for what she thinks she should be paid for Snow White.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Okay, so once again, she's saying that if she's standing there for 18 hours in a dress, she needs to be paid for every hour that it's streamed online. What do you think about that, Jonas? What's your thoughts about that?
Of all the comments Rachel Zegler has made that are in the media right now, that is the closest to a reasonable argument that I've heard her make, which is not a compliment, by the way. Really,
right.
I think she could have probably said it a little bit better, or if someone is getting paid for it, I probably should be on the list. But I don't think anybody has any sympathy for you put on a costume when we have an entire industry of cosplayers who are glad to go out there and do it for free.
Jonas, people would do that for free. That's what I'm saying. There were people who do that for free. I would literally enlist an army of people, which I'm going to say it because I'm a misogynist, horrible pig. that are hotter, that are better actresses, that are less woke, and that love Snow White more than she does. There's a list of people that would do it for free because they love Disney, they love Snow White, and they love the original. People would line up to do that just to be famous, just to get their face out there. But all she's concerned about is her dollars and cents of the residuals, which shows you when she talks about, oh, I care about the property. You don't care about shit. You only care about your own hubris, which is entirely what this has all been about. The whole issue with Zegler has been her pure ego and hubris throughout this entire PR tour.
This little girl needs a publicist. I don't understand why Disney is not sending someone to help this poor girl so that they can at least salvage this movie. Somebody said, well, what if they do like a Barbie thing? Well, they're already tanking that right now by allowing all of this to go unresponded to. I don't know if their hands are tied because of the strike and they can't comment on the film, or if they're counting on people to forget how insufferable these comments are before March of next year, which is going to be here before they know it. I don't think they can fix this. People
will not forget about this. This is not something they're going to forget about. They're going to get this, and even if it dies down in the news cycle, when it starts to launch, people are going to drag this back up. Like, this is definitely coming back up in terms of what she's going to say. She's probably going to have, a apology tour or whatever else. Which, by the way, I want to be very clear here and show you guys this. A lot of people thought she was apologizing because they saw this video. In fact, even my good friend X-Ray Girl got fooled by this. There's this old video of her apologizing in general for something, but that was actually not her apologizing for Snow White. So if you see this video, kind of her in a room, I'm not going to play it. It's like 2 minutes long of her whining and whatever else. It actually isn't her apologizing for Snow White. It actually was her apologizing for reenacting Britney Spears' tweets.
What?
So this old apology has been circulating, and people have been saying, look, she apologized. No. She has not apologized for Snow White at all.
Oh,
she actually, this is an older fuck up that she's trying to come back and cover.
Okay, so I'm going to add to this. I thought that you were this entire time. I thought you were winding up to point out that she was apologizing for calling Jeremy Renner transphobic back in the day. So there's
no.
This little girl here is just a tragedy factory for anyone who wants to work with her. I don't want to call somebody the next Brie Larson, but she is really stepping up her game to be the most hated person on the internet. And she could fix it. She could fix it right now if she just hires someone. And here's going to be the difficult part: listening to them.
Yes, exactly. It's absolutely insufferable and absolutely the worst of everything about Hollywood. And frankly, like the worst about even her, because she's like Gen Z-ish, the worst about that generation, right? Not to slam a whole generation, but that's the whole sort of like young, unappreciative in Hollywood. It's all of that together, which is, as Joseph Dredd said, who's a member, it's unsufferable. It's unsufferable.
He is the law.
But that is the law. Guys, I'm going to wrap it here. I've done 2 streams today, so my voice is kind of killing me. But I do appreciate you guys joining. And if you're not members, you may want to be a member. I'm going to do a members-only stream tomorrow on Sydney Watson and the kind of follow-up to that lawsuit. I'm going to do it members-only because it's been a while since I've done one of those. And I want to keep that for members who are really interested in that. So if you're not a member, at least of the RPG, the Replay Gang, which is the lowest level of membership, I'm going to do it for those only. So we'll be doing that one tomorrow. And then we'll have a lot more content, pre-recorded content, clips, other stuff coming out throughout the weekend. I also do plan on having a stream with my good friends from Council of Future Conflict. It's been a while since I've talked to those guys, talking about Africa and Niger and what's going on in Niger. It's been a while since I've talked about that. So I want to bring those guys on shortly in the future as well. Until then, guys, make sure you smash the like button, share it out there, and follow Jonas J. Campbell on YouTube. Good friend of the channel. And also go follow all those other good folks that are doing good content on Disney and covering these things as well. Jonas, do you have anything before we sign off here to promote anything coming out right now?
No, just saying thank you. Later today is the Pro Show, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'd love to get you on there, but I think that's like 5 in the morning your time.
5 to 7 Eastern time?
Yeah.
Well, send me a link. I may actually be able to. My sleep schedule has been pretty messed up, so I may be able to catch the end of it. Yeah.
All right. I'll get you
do
one
a
of
birthday
these
stream, and everything's downhill from there. But anyways, later, y'all guys, take care, and I will catch you later. Peace.